It's homecoming for Clemson, and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons is coming to town to play Clemson this Saturday at 3:30. I'm going to dive into what's left of Wake Forest and talk about the season after this game for Clemson. It gets really tough from here. I'll dive into that and more. Hey, first, I'm Brian. I'm not Bobby Durkins, at least not on this channel. If you're new here or you're someone who's been watching for a while and you've never subscribed, please subscribe. It's free. It does help out the channel. Also, if you want to join the channel and support it on a monthly basis, there is a join button below the video. If you're on an iPhone, you might not see it, but it's worth mentioning. So Clemson just beat Syracuse. I don't want to say it was overly dominant, but it was a commanding win for Clemson. There was a lot of good things there. Of course, we saw some things that we would like to see a little differently out of the offense. But I hesitate. I know you can see it. I hesitate, but Clemson's defense looked fantastic. They created a lot of turnovers. We scored 21 points off of 3 turnovers. You can't ask for any better than that. Now you have Wake Forest. Now let's talk about Wake Forest in that game from last year. Last year, it ended in double overtime. I think the final score right off the top of my head was like 51-45. We saw the maturation of Nate Wiggins. He got picked on and picked on and picked on and picked on and picked on. And instead of hitting the transfer portal and tucking his tail and blaming everybody, he became who I believe the best member of the secondary and one of the best defensive players on our team. And that's a mouthful considering our defense. Now, at this time, and this is the Thursday before the game, Nate Wiggins and Antonio Williams are both questionable. They're day-to-day. And for me, unless you have to play them, don't play them, because we have a bye week next week. And then after that, we have to go to Miami, a team who's flying under the radar. But for this game against Wake Forest, if you don't have to play them, as I said, don't play them. Wake Forest had a guy, you might have heard of him, Sam Hartman, a record-setting quarterback. He's been in the ACC and college football forever, and now he's with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But don't worry, we can't get away from him. On November the 4th, the Irish will come to Clemson. We'll have to play him then. He's looking really good up there. So who took his place? A young man named Mitch Griffiths. Now, Mitch Griffiths has thrown for almost 1,000 yards. It's very difficult to ask a young man like him to come in and fill the shoes of someone like Sam Hartman. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Sam Hartman, has been in college football for a while, but he's done some really good things, especially at Wake Forest. And to do it at Wake Forest, that's a big deal. So, Mr. Griffiths is coming to town, 76 of 127, 999 yards, 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Now, you step back and you say, who has he done that against? Well, Wake Forest, they are 3-1. They're 0-1 in the conference. Well, who have they played this year? Well, they played Elon. They won 37-17. They beat Vanderbilt 36-20. They played at Old Dominion. Dominion only beat them by 3 points. Then they played Georgia Tech. Not such a great team. And they lost by 2 touchdowns. That was, a few weeks ago. So they're coming off of a bye at this point. You have to ask yourself, is this just a game for Wake Forest and Dave Clawson, who I think is a tremendous coach? Is this just a game that they try to get in and get out of without getting beat by 30 or 40 points? Oh, by the way, the line, Clemson is the favorite right now by 21 points. And I really don't see that changing. For them, they have a few team leaders that probably one of the biggest stories for Wake Forest is Jacob Roberts. Jacob Roberts is a transfer. I'm pretty sure this guy, he's a transfer in from North Carolina A&T. He leads the team in sacks. He has 5 sacks on this season. He leads the team in tackles with 37. So that's a good thing. But once again, they only return 5 starters. And if I haven't said this already, they only return 5 starters on the offense and 5 starters on the defense. They are bare bones. And we see this with Wake Forest, especially in the Dave Clawson era. They'll have 1 or 2 years where they're really competitive, and then they fall off and they get the crap beat out of them by basically anyone who has a pulse. And then they come back. So, I mean, kudos to Dave Clawson for not jumping ship and going somewhere where he can have a better chance at recruiting. He can have more continuity due to that recruiting and transfer portal action to really not have a fall off year. And if he does, it wouldn't be as bad as it normally is. What do I see in this game? Because there's really not much for me to say when it comes to Wake Forest. They're playing with basically a barren cupboard. They're playing against a team who just got their first conference win. Now let's talk about Clemson and what this means for them. Now, as I said, Nate Wiggins, he's day-to-day. If they don't need to start him, please don't start him. Antonio Williams, he didn't play against Florida State. He didn't play against Syracuse. Never fear, Tyler Brown is here. 21 receptions, 316 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the true freshman representing out of Greenville, South Carolina. Yeah, he was like the number 10 ranked player, 10th ranked player in the state of South Carolina coming out of high school. Unless you keep up with Greenville high school football, you probably didn't even know about Tyler Brown. I mean, I live within 30 minutes of where he played, and, I really didn't hear that much about him. But he's tearing it up at Clemson, and we are all very appreciative for that. So what does this game mean for the Tigers? Well, obviously, you want to get another conference win. Until last week, you were 0-2 in the conference. You hadn't beat a Power 5 school in forever, it seemed like. This is the chance for Clemson to shake off any dust, rust, or any other word that could mean not good out of their system, off of their system. Get their timing down. There's been a couple of routes last week, and I'm not trying to pick at this person because I expect perfection. I'm just saying that last week we saw a few passes that Cade threw that had they been playing against someone who had a little more talent, they would have not only intercepted it, they would have taken it to the house. So with that said, this is one more week that Clemson can work on these problems, these issues. Work up front on the offensive line. Block better. We need the wide receivers fighting for the football. As we go into this stretch with Miami, right after this, we're going to play. We'll be off next week. Then we're going to play Miami. And folks, this is the meat of the season for Clemson. How Clemson, I think, responds in this game of fixing things that still hasn't been fixed, and then using the bye week to get people well and to continue to fix things, will really determine the second half of the season. Because after the bye week, they play Miami, then they're at NC State, then Notre Dame comes to town, they play Georgia Tech, North Carolina comes to town, and then they're at South Carolina. And I'm going to tell you, I can't stand the Gamecocks, but I have watched them play a lot this season. They are a scrappy football team, and that is a reflection of Shane Beamer. Clemson cannot play around with them or they'll lose again. So with that said, yes, this game all the way here in October can mean a lot when it comes to Clemson playing against Miami, Notre Dame, North Carolina, and South Carolina. What do I expect out of Clemson? First of all, I expect them to try to establish the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball. It's all nice and neat and fun and stuff for the offense to snout the ball and go deep on a team like, I don't know, Syracuse or Wake Forest. But listen, folks, you have to be able to go deep on teams like Miami, Notre Dame, North Carolina, even NC State, even though they look like they're down this year. I've watched them play a lot this season. And, of course, South Carolina. Why would you only go deep against teams that anyone could go deep on? I know, coverage, blah, 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 blah. We have the quarterback and we have the receivers to go after teams. So, yes, we need to do it in this game, but But really, most importantly, we need to do that in future games. For this game, we need to get whatever's funky going on with Shipley and the offensive line and whatever's going on with the offense. Maybe there's nothing, but he didn't look right this week. I'm not knocking Shipley. I'm just saying, compared to the Will Shipley that we've seen since he's came to Clemson, he didn't look right this week. Is he hurt? Are they keeping that from us? Is he angry? Are they keeping that from us? Of course, we will never find that out until he's out of the program, whether he goes to the draft or he transfers. I don't see him transferring. Just forget I even brought that up. But we need to establish the line of scrimmage and run the football. Get K to throw the ball as needed, but we don't have to lean on it here. The only time I would throw the football against Wake Forest is to try to challenge some of the receivers to become more aggressive. Bo Collins, Adam Randall, Brenningstool. We saw him get more involved this past week and over the past few games. We need to see more involvement out of them. Tyler Brown, I believe, don't change anything with Tyler Brown. Everybody leave him alone. Let him do, unless he's doing something stupid, let him do what he's been doing. But what I would do in this game, establish the line of scrimmage. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, you say, what would you do there? I mean, they're basically anemic on offense, or at least it seems that way, because they haven't played anybody. Clemson, at least at this point of the season, no matter what the record is, they've already played against two fantastic teams with really good quarterbacks. What Clemson should do here? Work on the fundamentals of football. Every assignment has to be fulfilled. You can't play around. You can't be messing up against Wake Forest, and this is game number 6 for you. You understand what I'm saying? You have a bye week, and then the rest of your season is in front of you. You get that one game against Georgia Tech where you can kind of take a breather. But I'm telling you, this is the game that if you are missing assignments on the defense and you still don't have it right, and you're just dependent upon unbelievable athleticism, that spells to me that somewhere along the Miami, North Carolina, maybe even NC State, even though I'm telling you, they do not look like they normally do. I know they give Clemson problems here and there, but they do not look dominant. But the Notre Dame, the North Carolina game, even the South Carolina game, if you can't get it cleaned up now, you will lose games later because of that. So this is a game, even though Clemson has a ton of talent on the defensive side, and you have new guys like, TJ Parker and Peter Woods, who are just coming out and doing great things, we still have to play assignment football. This is a perfect game to not only get a win on homecoming in front of your fans. Now you're going to have 2 wins in a row. This is a chance to really correct and right the wrong of the season. Start basically in your head that the slate starts over with Miami, but you have preseason experience. I know that's not real, but I'm just saying that's how I would approach it. And Clemson can come in and dominate against Wake Forest. I'll give you my prediction for the score. Clemson, by the way, as I said, is a 21-point favorite. The over-under for this game is 52.5 points. I believe Clemson wins this game. I'll give you a definite score. I call Clemson wins this game 41-10. With 41-10, they're still under by half a point. I take the under by half a point. Yeah, it's a margin of error. But hey, I call Clemson 41-10. I think they more than get it done. We see some good things. Hopefully we can get Dominic Thomas, Quadzilla in there, get him working the football, get Jarvis Green in there running the football, get Keith Adams Jr. moving the football, get some more athletes out on the field and get some more experience, because that's where Clemson was building up continuity and dominance. They had a lot of players who was getting this game time experience when they were second and third stringers, so that when it came their time, they were seasoned veterans. So I call Clemson 41-10. Thanks for joining me on the channel. Again, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the thumbs up. It's free. If you want to support the channel on a monthly basis, hit the join button below the video. Unless you're on an iPhone, you might not see it. It's $3 or $5 per month. I have 2 different tiers. And I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of the show, 4puttcarts.com. They're a beverage and snack cart service for special events and golf courses. So even if you have cart service at your golf course, if you have a tournament coming up or a special event, guess what? You're going to get overwhelmed. You need to reach out to 4puttcarts.com. Let them know you heard about it from Not Bobby Durkins. And if you don't have cart service, if you really want to become a legitimate golf course, you need to talk to them. Also, if you have a special event, get in touch with them. 4puttcarts.com. The description or the link is below this video. Folks, thank you so much. I predict Clemson wins 41-10. I'll catch you next time. Go Tigers.